Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Marcus Rosa, a.k.a. Mazuma TV. Back at y'all with some more boxing talk, man. About to get into my post-fight reaction to ERROL Spence versus Tszyu. Just went down over in Australia, man. Y'all can see it on my face. I'm absolutely exhausted. Had a long day. You know what I'm saying? Productive, very fun day, but nonetheless, I'm burnt the fuck out. I'm tired. Took a whole lot of willpower. Took a whole lot of dog determination, like ERROL Spence just showed in the ring against Tszyu, for me to stay up and overcome this exhaustion. But I'm about to get into this, post-fight reaction, man. Congratulations to Tszyu for a great victory over, ERROL Spence Jr. Congratulations to ERROL Spence Jr. for putting on the best performance he could with what he had. You know what I'm saying? It was sad to watch ERROL Spence perform, at that level when, I had the pleasure. I've had the pleasure in watching ERROL Spence Jr. in his prime. You know what I mean? I watched him from the very beginning of his career, watched him in the amateurs. I watched him come up as a prospect that everybody was talking about and praising. I watched this man go over to the UK and win his first world title. I've seen that man go ahead and defend his world title out in Texas when he fought Carlos Ocampo. Seen him fight Lamont Peterson and destroy him. You know what I mean? I was able to watch him unify titles with, Sean Porter, get into the car accident, show resiliency, show the true meaning of being a world champion and coming back against a dangerous former world champion, top contender at the time, Danny Garcia. Then I seen him come around and unify once again with Yordenis Ugas, who was coming off of the biggest win in his career against Manny Pacquiao. You know what I'm saying? I watched ERROL Spence go through multiple car accidents, grueling, punishing fights, detached retinas. You know what I'm saying? And went in here tonight, and from the very beginning, I noticed that ERROL Spence's legs was gone. That was the first thing that I noticed. I noticed it before even the commentary had brought it up. One thing I want to say about the commentary, though, man, is I don't be understanding what these commentary dudes' motives be. I don't know if they're pretty much told, a script to follow and stuff like that. But from the very beginning, they were very, very negative or had a pessimistic approach towards ERROL Spence in the fight. You know what I'm saying? I was paying attention to the word choice and stuff like that. Whoever was doing like the play-by-play, it was probably like an Australian dude or whatever. I watched ERROL Spence land a clean body shot on Tszyu. He was like, oh, Spence trying to go to the body. And then I'll watch, Tszyu land the shot that, was probably a decent shot, but wasn't the most flush one. It's like, oh, Tszyu is putting it on him. And, all of this stuff, like they were emphasizing everything that Tszyu was doing, especially Paulie and Sean Porter. That definitely caught me off guard. But, you know what I mean? They were maximizing everything Tszyu was doing and minimizing whatever ERROL Spence was doing. But the reality is ERROL Spence did some pretty good things in there, despite being limited, with his balance. His balance was totally gone, which is definitely a sign of a shot fighter, in my opinion. Every time he threw his left hand, he would fall over. Big, wide shots that, had no type of setup whatsoever, that even somebody as negligent defensively as Tszyu was able to get out of the way of. And what also showed me that his best days were behind him was his defensive timing. ERROL Spence was usually good with catching shots with the high guard and actually seeing the shots and being able to brace for him. And ERROL Spence, you could tell he learned some new things with Ronnie Shields. He was rolling underneath shots and stuff like that. So he was being defensively responsible. He definitely learned under Ronnie Shields' tutelage, which is very impressive because it was only one training camp, and it seemed like he added some new wrinkles in his game within that small time frame. So that let me know that Errol Spence actually trained hard in this camp, that he was actually being a student this camp, that he was actually excited about training. But the power just didn't seem to be there. You know, when your balance isn't really underneath you, it's hard to maximize, the power on your shots. But Errol Spence did a great job in the beginning rounds, in all honesty. Just keeping his hands flowing, keeping the jab on him, just showing the old Errol Spence, like that Mikey Garcia Errol Spence, where he just staying active with the jab, putting the combinations behind him. The difference was, though, is that even though they were both 160 pounds, Tim Tszyu did look significantly bigger than Errol Spence. Not only that, it seemed like Tim Tszyu rehydrated pretty well, so he was absorbing them shots pretty well. I didn't see a moment where Tim Tszyu buckled or was hurt or was bothered by Errol Spence punches. He absorbed the shots really well. So it was either Errol Spence's balance / power didn't fully transition to the weight, his balance just completely threw off his power, or Tim Tszyu was just the significantly bigger man, so the punch resistance showed tonight. But regardless, Errol Spence did a great job in, staying active, and what I noticed, even though it was a flaw in my opinion, him falling over, he was smothering Tim Tszyu's attack, and he was actually getting the better of the work on the inside. That was something that the commentary really wasn't talking about. Was those shots hurting and breaking down Tim Tszyu? No, but he was staying active, and he was doing what he could with what he had. And I thought he stole a lot of them early rounds. Taking that approach. Was he smothering his own attack in certain ways? Yes, but he was completely neutralizing Tim Tszyu's offense during certain instances throughout the fight. Because one thing I noticed about Tim Tszyu, he has zero inside game. Terrible inside game from Tim Tszyu, man. This dude, it's like he refused to fight on the inside. And what I noticed is with Tim Tszyu, and I've been noticed this throughout his career. I noticed it with the Brian Mendoza fight, and even this Fundora fights. His punches are most effective, and his offense is most effective at mid-range. That's why Fundora was giving him so much trouble, especially in that second fight, because whenever there was like an inside, Sebastian Fundora is a sound inside fighter. He was getting the better of those exchanges. He was breaking up Tim Tszyu, with the combination punching. But Errol Spence, his balance was off, power wasn't there. Tim Tszyu was a noticeably bigger man. And one of the things I noticed too, Errol Spence got wobbled in the first round, but I actually gave Errol Spence the first round, because even though that one shot that Tim Tszyu landed definitely had an effect on Errol, Errol was more consistent throughout the rounds. He was more consistent throughout the rounds. I thought he outlanded Tim Tszyu. I thought his defense was better because his offense was his defense, and he was keeping Tim Tszyu up off him. I thought he was dictating the pace of the fight. And was he landing the harder shots? Tim Tszyu landed the harder shot in that round, but it's hard. It's clean, effective shots, and Errol Spence just landed more of them, in my opinion. So I actually gave Errol Spence that first round. Like, some people didn't. That's okay. You know what I'm saying? If y'all want to count that one shot that wobbled Errol Spence in the first round, just give the whole round to him and completely ignore what Errol Spence did throughout the 3 minutes of that fight. He actually came back and landed a solid left hand on Tim Tszyu, after the fact. So he still had his wits about it. He wasn't completely out. He didn't touch the canvas. But regardless, you're going to give that round whoever you're going to give that round to. Actually, I think within like the first 6 rounds, I had actually gave Errol Spence 4 of them. But then after that, Errol Spence started to fatigue, in my opinion. The body shots Tim Tszyu was landing. Tim Tszyu got in like a flow state around like the 4th round where, he was just letting his hands go. He really wasn't emphasizing power. Was touching the body. You could tell the body shots was affecting Errol. The head shots was affecting Errol when they landed clean. And Errol Spence started to deteriorate from there. And that's when we saw Errol Spence still had the championship mindset. You know what I'm saying? He still had that grit. He still had the determination that we knew him for. He was actually in pretty good shape, but when you're taking that much damage, ring rust, you know what I'm saying, higher weight class, bigger guys that punch harder, you know what I mean? You are going to slow down a lot more in comparison to getting hit by a welterweight. You know what I mean? So Aiden thought that he didn't think that the fight was gonna go 12 rounds. Me neither, to be honest with you. There were certain moments where I was getting very upset, you know what I mean, getting very nervous for Errol Spence, because there were certain times where Tszyu looked like he was really stepping on the gas and, you know, getting the Errol, but Errol always, he just found a way to get through that round. You know what I'm saying? And actually hold his own. So congratulations to Tszyu. I had the fight score 8-4. One judge had a score 10-2. I think that was absolutely ridiculous, to be honest with you. I think the other two judges had a score 9-3, so it was only one round off from mine. But regardless, you know what I mean, Tszyu came out the clear winner. Not to say that Tszyu shouldn't be excited for that win, because that's a great win to add to his resume. But at the end of the day, Tim, you and your team know y'all did not get in there with the best version of Errol Spence Jr. You know what I mean? Y'all didn't beat prime Errol Spence Jr. Y'all did not beat the best version of him whatsoever. Y'all beat a guy who just came off of a devastating loss against Terrence Crawford 3 years ago. You know what I mean? You know, took a whole lot of punishment. What you fought, who you beat today, was a diminished version of Errol Spence Jr. You know what I'm saying? You beat a diminished version of Errol Spence Jr. It is what it is. Tszyu, you know, oh, I'm ready to party. What's my name? And I understand, you know what I mean? You put in a lot of work. You know, you were fiending, clamoring for this type of fight. You were able to get this fight on your home turf. You know what I mean? It looked like you had a hell of a crowd in there. I understand, you know what I mean? The adrenaline pumping and all of that. But to me, you know what I mean? Solid win. You know, the history books isn't going to remember at that, you know, aren't really going to acknowledge at the end of the day that Errol Spence, you know, was on his last leg and literally retired immediately after the fight. Some fighters usually wait until, you know, they give it a little bit of time before they assess whether they're going to retire or not. When somebody literally, you know, retires in the ring, that means that that's already been on their mind. That's something that they've already come to grips with. This is something that they've already made a reality in their mind. They just didn't let you know that yet. But if y'all listen to Mazuma TV, if y'all been keeping up with me, I told y'all that Errol Spence had 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Every time he was speaking, you know what I mean, it just sounded like he was content with retirement, and even saying things like, yo, you know what I mean, like, you know, even after this fight, I might just retire. So you can already tell that Errol Spence has already found an identity outside of boxing. And you could tell that he was well past it. You feel me? And one thing about Errol Spence is that he's really self-aware, I'm gonna say. So he know that he had you know, his best years behind him, and you know what I mean, he knows he's not who he once was. So it is what it is. You feel me? I'm not gonna really shit on the man. No Errol Spence slander whatsoever. We're not gonna sit here and talk crazy about him or anything like that. But you know, like I said, good fight overall, man. I was very relieved after the fight because, you know, I was getting a little concerned that Errol Spence might not make it through the fight. But you know, he put on, he did what he could with what he had, man. He maximized whatever he had left. He really maximized it to the best of his ability, man. Yo, what's going on, man?
Well, with you,
What's up? What's up? Talk to me.
I didn't get a chance to see the fight, but I'm not surprised. Yo, I seen clips. I was at the show at the Fillmore.
Okay.
I ain't surprised though, bro. Um, like in the lead up, everybody is, you know, really, really excited that Earl was back. Well, when people ask me, like, you know, who I had, said it's impossible. I think it was literally impossible to pick who's gonna win that fight because, like, Tim's been active, but people been knocking Tim around. 1, 2. The last time we seen Earl, Bud dish-ragged me, and that was 3 years ago. And when we saw you in the ring, you look like a. Honestly, he's been deteriorating since the car crash. The first thing that I noticed is his legs. His balance after the car crash was cooked.
Yeah.
And if you watched him early in his career, you watched him against like Leonard Bundu, Chris Algieri. He never had great footwork, but his legs were sturdy.
His balance was always on point.
Yeah.
Always in position.
After the car crash, his legs was flopping all over the place.
Yeah, I actually seen him doing some pad work after. This is like before he started training with Ronnie and stuff like that. It just seemed like he was just going from gym to gym. I seen him doing some pad work, and he's loading up on shots, and his legs are all over the place. And I remember my guy Ree, who be in the chat, he sent me. He was like, "Yo, man, is Earl done?" And just knowing, like I'm pretty good at picking up when a fighter has their best days behind them and shit like that, or just knowing when a fighter shot. And when I seen that Earl Spence was ripping those combinations to the body, and that he was like having happy feet in between combinations, I automatically knew. I'm like, yo, Earl Spence is a shot fighter, bro. And I was saying, and that was probably a year or two ago that I seen him hitting the pads. So you accelerate 2 years later, and you see that. And I know you probably didn't watch the fight, but bro, every time he threw the left hand, he fell over his feet. Each and every time, bro. Was out of position multiple times. He was getting countered by Tszyu. There was a moment in the first round where he actually fell over his feet. Tszyu caught onto it and then hit him with a hook while he was off balance, and then buckled Errol a little bit. Errol was able to, get himself back in the round and stuff like that. But his balance, man. And what was crazy was he still was having a lot of success. Like, for somebody who is well past it, somebody who literally retired in the ring, which I feel like says a lot. I gave him 4 rounds, man.
That's because Tim is ass,
bro. And I don't know how I didn't notice this earlier. Like I said it out loud, but I never really paid attention to it. Tim has 0 inside game.
No, Tim's always been ass. But what happened is, when you draw money, what I realize is that fans go by names. Fans are in names and promotion and storylines. And so if you are a name that's always floating around, fans will somehow process in their mind that you're better than what you are. And by Tim drawing the way that he does down there, he was able to get a lot of the past prime names to where as though his resume looks stacked. But when you actually look at Tim as a fighter, Tim's never been elite.
No. Nope. Not at all. And this dude, Tszyu, 0 jab. Like he'll throw it, but like his effectiveness with the jab, his consistency with the jab, trash. Tszyu is solid at mid-range. He's a bigger guy. He's strong, physically strong. You could tell. Got some solid pop, but skill set definitely not there. And I actually seen an older Earl Spence having a lot of success on the inside, and was just ripping those shots. But because Earl Spence's balance was just non-existent, the power just wasn't there how it previously was. Like when he was fighting guys like you said, Leonard Bundu, Phil LaGreco, Lamont Peterson. You know what I'm saying? Like we didn't see that version of Earl Spence, and to be honest, I didn't expect to see that. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is, man. I seen Tszyu partying. Like, what that kind of reminded me of? It kind of reminded me of when Joppy was like, going crazy when he beat up on Roberto Duran and all that shit. And he was celebrating like he just won like the biggest fight of the century type shit. So, at the end of the day, he probably look at it like, man, this Earl Spence, he a legend. I'd love to have a legend on a resume. All right, cool. But at the end of the day, man, like, I don't really think this does anything for Tszyu besides just putting the name on his resume. He said he wants a title at 160, so he'll probably get the opportunity. He'll probably fight Eris Landy Lara or something. Who knows?
It's a couple of things that I hate. I hate that Tszyu is the one to get this boost. Because like you said, it really doesn't. It does nothing for him, per se. Like, we saw Tim get baptized. Like, I know Fandora put something on him, but Bakram, I feel like Bakram like took life out of Tszyu. And he made everybody think that Bakram was the destroyer of all that we hold dear. Like we he had people thinking that he was like Doctor Doom or something, like it's Doomsday. And you seen the trailer for it yet?
Nah, not yet.
Yeah, it's like it's just Bakram just sitting there. It's like he pressed Bakram to knock him out, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. He ran
Like that
right
fight,
into the fire.
yeah, that fight would have looked a lot different. But be that as it may, I think Earl is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
do think that Earl, his career was curated. I think it was curated very well to build a star. And I think they, like his management, they did their job.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about it, Kell Brook coming off of moving up to 160, his face broke, right? And then you get another name in Lamont Peterson, smaller guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sean Porter, great win, close fight, but he closed it. You get Danny Garcia. Like, he got the right fights at the right time. And I'm not saying that all of those dudes were shot. I'm just saying he got them all at a point where you would favor Earl. He never, like, the only fight is the back two that you would kind of like favor the other person. With Crawford, he stayed in the division a little long. You know, the car accidents, detached retina, all that stuff kind of caught up to him. And then Tszyu, even though Tszyu been looking like fried dog shit, he's still been active. And Earl been out of the ring for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
But
he fought like 2 times in the last like 6 months or some shit. So he was super active for today's standards. So I already knew that was going to be an issue. So. But yeah, just to reflect on Earl Spencer's career, though, he definitely was pushed the right way, and he was put in some real big fights, and a lot of those fights were fights that a lot of us thought that he would win. But I do give him a lot of credit at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Because Kell Brook should have gave that title up for real. But his pride ain't want to let that shit go. But
Eddie should have never offered. Eddie should have never offered Kell Triple G.
Yeah,
Eddie effectively
cashed him out, man. That was grimy.
Yeah, he effectively killed Kell's career because I think he's supposed to fight with Jesse Vargas, right? That was when
he was supposed to fight, but I remember Triple G was supposed to fight like Chris Eubank.
And he was supposed to fight Jesse Vargas. Chris Eubank, something happened where the negotiations, and then they pull to save the pay-per-view. They pulled Kell Brook out and make him jump up 2 weight classes and got his face broke.
That's so grimy. Fucked his career up with that shit, man. But I give Kell Brook a lot of credit, even though like when you really look back and watch that fight, Kell Brook still fought his ass off.
He did.
It was just he gave Earl a lot of resistance. It was just maybe that punishment he took from that Triple G fight. You know what I mean? Probably had him down on his luck. He wasn't in the best mental space. He wasn't his most confident version of himself. You know what I mean? So he ain't really had time to really assess that loss. You know what I mean? Get back in the winning column, run some wins up, even just go back down to 47. He went from 60 and just dropped welter. So
Earl is loved. Earl is very loved. Kell Brook would have beat, if you watch the fight, Kell Brook would have beat Earl. If he never fights Triple G, he would have beat Earl.
I don't know, man.
He would have beat Earl.
I don't know. That sister, because Earl wasn't taking no for an answer.
Wait.
Systematically breaking him down.
He broke him down because he was already broke. And the reason why I say he would have beat Earl is if you look at up until he started breaking him down, it was a close fight, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Who gonna win a close fight in England, Earl or Kell?
Well, if you're talking about, are you referring to like politics and shit like that?
Yeah, I'm saying I'm looking at the fight, right?
Okay.
And I'm saying, okay, broke the orbital bone. He ended up breaking him down. If he doesn't fight Triple G and get his orbital bone broken, I think that goes to decision, and they're not going to give Earl that. With the way that the fight looked before he broke his face, Earl's not winning that fight.
Yeah, probably not. But I mean, Kell Brook did take a lot of punishment prior to that eye breaking, though. So to me, I mean, we'll never know, in all honesty. But I do think that accumulation, that because he was landing some crazy body shots on Kell, and you could tell that shit was slowly but surely breaking him down. But the eye was the main focal point, and politics probably would have fucked Earl over at the end of the day. You could be totally right.
And then right after that, who did he fight? He fought Ocampo.
Yeah, he
Destroyed
fought him
him.
in Dallas, 1 round body
Then he
shot.
fought Lamont, right?
Lamont, correct.
Yeah. And then after that, you give him Mikey. And that wasn't his fault. Anybody that want to criticize him for that, that's bullshit. No, Mikey barked up that tree.
Yeah, Mikey was chasing Earl around. Oh, I see something. Like, I remember that shit. Mikey was feeling himself because what he was doing in them smaller weight classes. Then he seen Earl, no type of special effects. You know what I'm saying? He like, oh yeah, I can outbox him. Like, you know what I'm saying? I got the skills to outbox him, but he definitely he made a miscalculation over there. He misread Earl.
The crazy thing is Mikey saw no special effects, but Mikey ain't got no special effects.
Yeah, but that just goes to show you how confident he was at 35 because he was like, he put Dejan's lactation in the sleep. I don't know. Did he fight Robert Easter? He fought Robert Easter and AB and all of them before. He was feeling himself. So, you know what I mean? When you on a winning streak like that, and you experiencing a high, and even you may look at yourself as more than what the fuck you are in that type of moment. Some fighters reach this level of like invincibility where it's like they don't even look at things objectively like that. They're like, man, I'm running this shit up like can't nobody beat me until somebody beats you. That's how that should be going. So for real, they actually had some similarities, to be honest with you, in terms of like being fundamentally sound and shit like that. Mikey was a bad motherfucker, but 147 just was not for him. He was way too small. I remember he was trying to fight Cotto at 54. He was tripping.
Ooh.
Mikey.
No, don't tell me that.
I swear to God, you could probably still find the tweet right now. He was on Twitter. He was like me versus Cotto at 54. I'm like, yeah, Mikey tripping. Mikey wanted.
He couldn't beat no version. He couldn't. I know Mikey fought at 40. He couldn't beat no version of Cotto. That would have went bad.
Yeah, bro. He was fat as shit at 47. He would have been all sloppy at 54, probably gassed out. Cotto was small too, but that motherfucker was in shape at 54. He was strong. He was putting shit out. I remember that clear as day. Mikey was on either Mikey was trying to cash out because he never really liked boxing. He said it all the time. Or like he just was he really felt like nobody could beat him. Like it was either one of the two. But regardless, to get back to Earl Spence, bro, like I think he had a phenomenal career. You definitely got a great point though. He was carried along very well. I do give him a lot of credit for the Sean Porter fight was very close, but I do give him, that was a unification fight. That was a good one. But it was close as shit because Earl Spence wanted to fight Sean Porter's fight. Didn't really understand that, but he did what he needed to do. Danny Garcia, a lot of people was doubting him with Danny Garcia because of the car crash. So I give him a lot of credit for that. A lot of people felt like Danny was you remember that shit, right?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, like a lot of people was like, man, I don't think Danny the right fight for Earl to come back to. Like Danny strong, blah, blah, blah. And, he outworked Danny. You know what I'm saying? So that was a good one. I mean, your Dennis Ugas, I never really looked at Ugas as like upper echelon or anything like that. Even though I do think he beat Sean Porter. Came off of the biggest win of his career against Manny Pacquiao. Earl was supposed to fight Manny Pacquiao. You know what happened with his eye and shit like that. Ugas took his place, got that title. So I do give Earl a lot of credit for that. But, besides all of that, man, I think Earl Spence is definitely a Hall of Famer. Solid wins. And within that time, because his run was, in my opinion, pretty short. You know what I'm saying? Then that small time frame that Earl Spence was doing this thing at 47, there's some good shit, bro. So salute to Earl Spence, man. He definitely gonna be missed. Love his competitive spirit, his mentality. His willingness to fight the best. I think without Earl Spence's efforts, I don't think we would have gotten that Crawford fight based off the information that was out here. So, he gave us one of the most, I guess you could say, significant fights to be made in the sport of boxing within the last decade. Done been under the brightest lights. had some highs, had some lows, but you know, Errol Spence. What's most important about Errol Spence is his health. You know, is well enough where he can function on his own. He has a beautiful family that he always is talking about, so you can tell he's very much in love with his kids, his wife, his siblings, parents, shit like that, which is a beautiful thing. And I think Errol Spence is set up in a way where, and hopefully it continues to stay this way, where he doesn't have to come back in boxing in order to feed his family. So, you know what I mean? That's what boxing fans should want fighters to end off at the end of the day. We done seen, and Mill, you done been around. We done seen so many sad stories about fighters who been at the top of their game, then they asking $20 for a picture or autograph. You know what I'm saying? Like, I seen that with my own eyes. Guys that was at the top of the game, you know, undisputed champion in their era, you know, made over 50, 60, 70 mil in their career. And then, you know what I'm saying? They got these baggy suits on with these big ass pants. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even trying to bid, bro.
No, but that's the real shit.
You know what I'm saying? Just not looking well. You know what I mean? Can't talk correctly. Can't, you know, walking with assistance. I've even seen fighters who was like in their mid 50s or whatever, walking around with a caregiver. You know what I'm saying? So I done seen those types of things. So, you know, hopefully Errol Spence continues to stay healthy, stay by his family, and you know he'll always be remembered, you know, by the boxing fans. So that's what's important. He definitely left a legacy behind.
Mark, he was Mr. in this era. He was Mr. Big Fight. Like when you think about the big fights that happened, Errol was in that conversation. Like once he got a world title, the Kell fight, that was a big fight, and it was a huge fight in the UK, right?
Yeah.
Then you had Mikey. That was a really big fight at the time. Yes. Then you followed up with Sean. Really big fight. Danny. Really big fight. And then Bud. And then Tszyu. Really big fight down there.
Yeah, that shit looked completely sold out. I wonder how many people was in that arena. Because that was crazy.
Oh, shit. We forgot about him. Well, yeah, he put out Algieri beforehand.
Yeah, that was while he was still a contender.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just steamrolled Algieri. Shout out to Algieri.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yo, that Errol, man, I was so excited to watch. And that was on TV too. Now I think that was that was on TV. So I was hyped to sit back and watch Errol Spence do his thing. I was really high on Errol Spence while he was a contender. That was just a fun time, bro. Like, it was just like that. That's how I describe it. It was just very fun to watch Errol Spence climb. You know what I'm saying? It was really good to watch. I watched it from the amateurs, beginning stages. I remember he fought a guy that was actually training in my gym. I used to train with Emmanuel Larte. He fought Errol Spence early on in his career. Remember, they was like, oh, Errol Spence got hurt early in his career, and it was like this little thing. That was Emmanuel Larte. I trained with Emmanuel Larte some years back. So, you know what I mean? Like, I remember watching him from the very beginning, and who he ended up becoming, man. He did a lot of good shit for the sport, bro. Like, I remember I watched Sean Porter. This is how big the fights was, Mil. I literally watched Sean Porter and Errol Spence in the movie theater. They had that shit at the AMC.
Yo, that was the cheat code. Because a lot of people want to steal the streams and stuff like that. But smart motherfuckers, when they had them in the movie theater, you just go pay your little $10, $15 and you good.
Yeah, I think I paid about $15 to get in there and watch that John. Big ass screen. I'm sitting in the back. I watched the whole John. And a lot of people ain't even know about it. So it was only like me and like 6 other people in that John. So it was, yeah, like if a movie theater willing to stream it, it's because they know people gonna watch it. So, I mean, yeah, he definitely was a part of a lot of big fights. So, you know what I mean? We move on. Errol Spence, you know what I mean? He did some good shit in the sport of boxing. I can't wait to see him get inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame, man.
Yo, the one part that I didn't like is when Bud talks about him.
Yeah.
It's like Bud don't give him his just due.
Bud got a lot of hate in his heart, man. I don't know if you can't tell already.
No, I can tell.
Yeah, bro. He got, like, you can
he
tell.
Don't let shit
it's
go.
Like past competitive shit. Like, it's like,
yeah.
You You know what I'm saying? Because when you competitive, you know when to turn that shit off. Like, it's all right, bro. Like, you know what I mean? We can put this to the side. You know what I mean? It's like Michael Jordan was a hell of a competitor. But, you know, he didn't mind, you know, especially post-career, you know, sitting back, giving, you know, basketball players they props for being solid guys. I don't think he will ever say that they was better than him, but, you know, he will let it be known, like, yeah, like, he won it on ones. You know what I mean? I heard him say that on several occasions. Bud is that type dude, like, even after you settle the score, he still got like this little bit of animosity, bro. It's hard to understand, but sometimes. You feel me? Because like you should be wanting to big up Earl.
Yeah, I didn't understand. Like when it's like, who do you fought? You fought nobody. He's like post style and Gamboa. I'm like, bro, why didn't you say Earl? Like,
Yeah, like what the fuck?
Earl and Gamboa.
Style?
I don't think that he'll be able to say anything if you say Earl and Gamboa. He's like, what Canelo said?
He said so. Victor Postal ain't elite.
Who's I don't know who that is. He said, I don't. And Canelo was like being real. He was like,
Canelo said he seen Postal get beat up at his gym. That's what had me cracking the fuck up. He said, I seen Postal get beat up in my gym. He said, who's that guy? I said, bro, this motherfucker Canelo be bugging. But yeah, man. And then I remember that he just did it. Bud just did a segment where it was like great, good, or like bad or some shit, trash, whatever the case is. And he had like Shakur Stevenson, great. There's a few different guys, and a lot of them, you know what I mean, he had on point. But with Spence, he was like, good. Like the motherfuckers, like he didn't want to come across as like a super hater, but he didn't want to give them, you know what I mean, the credit that they really deserve at the same time. Like he was like playing in the middle. But he's very hard to understand. I ain't gonna lie. He had Ryan Mid. I mean, yeah. Those were harder fights. Jeff Horn. We giving him Jeff Horn? That's not Earl. That's not Terrence Crawford's biggest victory, bro. That's not even that probably don't even crack top 5 for real.
Shit, let me go to sleep, Mark. But yeah, man, I'm glad that he's healthy. I mean, we've seen he lost and he retired right after, but we've seen situations like this look a lot worse. But now he walked out of that ring. He walked out of it. He lost, but he walked out of that ring, and now take that whatever you made to Texas, where they ain't got no state tax. Enjoy your fucking life.
Damn, I didn't even know that. Fuck.
Oh yeah.
I wonder why they cribs be over there be big and cheap than a motherfucker.
No state tax.
Wow. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're totally right, man. Have a
Florida.
good night.
This for you too. Florida, I think Nevada, Delaware, Tennessee. It's a couple spots, yo. What I do your thing, bro.
Oh, that's good to know, man. I appreciate you, Mel. Thank you for coming by.
Moment.
Yes, sir. Shout out to YSM, man. Salute, salute, salute. Let me see what the people are talking about, because that was some good dialogue. I got caught up in the dialogue. But Jay said Jeff Horn. Nah. Like I said, Terrence Crawford's biggest victories are Canelo Alvarez, Errol Spence, Gamboa. I'm gonna still say I think it's gonna clown me, but it is what it is. I think the Julius Ndongo win is one of the biggest wins of Terrence Crawford's career, because you know why that win is so significant, because it set a trend. Julius Ndongo versus Terrence Crawford is one of the most important fights that has happened within this era of boxing, because nobody, let's keep it real. When we was in the Floyd Mayweather era, didn't nobody give a fuck about becoming undisputed. I was there. I remember. You feel me? Lorenzo said Kell Brook. I can't do that one, bro. Kell Brook wasn't Kell Brook, man. Ricky Burns is a good win, Bethany. That's a fact. But during the Floyd, hear me out, y'all. Hear me out. During the Floyd Mayweather era, nobody wanted to become undisputed. They were just worried about the money. Floyd told y'all belts collect dust. Y'all was following his lead. so on and so forth. But was such a competitive dude and just played, only danced to the music he liked. You know what I'm saying? He did his own thing. You feel me? So he's seeing that there's 4 major titles. So Bud is like, yo, I'm going to make it my business to capture all of these world titles and become undisputed because we haven't seen nobody do it during the 4-belt era, to my knowledge. Julius Ndongo unifies the division in 2 fights, just like Xander Zayas did. Right? Terrence Crawford has 2 of the belts. I forgot who he got the WBO off of at 140. So somebody could correct me. Somebody could educate me on that. Who was it that he won that belt off of? Who did Bud get that WBO belt off of at 140? Completely forgot. But I know he got the WBC off of Victor Postal. Right? Sneaks are also said it's hard watching Spence not be Spence. Bro, it's a no, I think he got the WBC off of Postal. That's where he was able to unify, I believe. I think it was a WBC. But yeah, Sneaks are us. That's father time for you, brother. That shit catches up to everybody, and you know what I mean, not everybody walks away from the game at the top of the sport. What we experienced with Errol Spence is more common than what we've seen with a Floyd Mayweather, Andre Ward, Terrence Crawford. It was Delorme? Really? I remember watching that fight live. Delorme was giving him some good work until Bud clipped him. I'm gonna have to look into that. Hold on. He won the Vegan WBO by defeating Thomas Delorme. Yes. He later defended and unified the WBO belt, by beating Victor Postal. So, yeah. And then, he fought Julius Ndongo. He knocked Julius Ndongo out with a body shot. And from there, that shit created the Undisputed Era. The 4-belt Undisputed Era started with that Terrence Crawford and Victor Julius Ndongo fight. To this day, I mean, that might be a hot take or whatever the case is. Can't nobody tell me that that's not one of the most significant fights to be made in this era, because look what everybody else did after that. Look what that motivated Devin Haney to do. Look what that motivated Alexander Usyk to do. Look what it made Lomachenko attempt to do. Look what it made Devin. I think I said Devin Haney already. Who else became undisputed? I probably already mentioned a few of them, but you get what I mean. You know what I'm saying? Who knows if them guys would have took the undisputed approach if Terrence Crawford didn't do it first. Terrence Crawford is a trendsetter. Now you went anyway. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep, Bethaniel said everyone else followed the trend, male and female division. And because of that, we got some of the biggest fights to be made within the last few years because motherfuckers wanted to chase undisputed. Jamel Charlo, Josh Taylor, Dimitri Bivol, absolutely. Shout out to Bella Faith, shout out to Z, shout out to Agent 86 for adding on to the conversation. Artur Betterbeef, absolutely. Yep. Who knows if them guys would have taken that approach? You know what I'm saying? Boxing Wiz got a heartbreak for Errol. Man, it's look, man. And maybe I'm a little desensitized and all of that. I done went through my fair share of heartbreaks in the sport of boxing, but you know what I mean? We got to look at this optimistically, man. Terrence, Errol Spence is okay. He walked out of that ring with his health, his faculties. Yeah, he got a little bumps and bruises, but them Jones healed. You know what I'm saying? He's happy. He's at peace. He probably didn't want to go the rest of his life wondering what if. You know what I mean? He took the chance. He performed to the best of his ability. He came up short. It's okay. It's okay, man. Not everybody got this fucking super happy ending or a Rocky story where you just come back and win and be at the no. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. So, to go back to that Terrence Crawford thing, I got Canelo Alvarez, Errol Spence Jr., I got the motherfucking Gamboa. I thought the Gamboa one. That's when and the reason why the Gamboa fight was so significant for Terrence Crawford's career, because that let everybody know that he wasn't fucking around, that he just wasn't this undefeated, top ranked contender, prospect, whatever the case is. He let it be known, I'm the real fucking deal, and y'all have no choice but to acknowledge me because I just beat a guy that y'all was bigging up for so long. He gave him his first L. Julius Ndongo, Ricky Burns. Ricky Burns is a great win. I think Ricky Burns is a 3-division world champion. You got to put some respect on his name. If you want to interchange that with the Sean Porter one, you can. But at the end of the day, Sean Porter only became champ. He's a 2-time world champion in 1 division. And to be real, he was a measuring stick for the elite level guys because, respectfully, Sean Porter came up short again in most of his biggest fights. Sean Porter's biggest win is probably Paulie Malignaggi and Danny Garcia. Respectfully, neither one of them were at the top of the game when he beat them. Lost to Kell Brook, lost to Keith Thurman, lost to Errol Spence, lost to Terrence Crawford. That was pretty much all of the top guys that was at welterweight. And Sean Porter came up short against all of them. So, I mean, it is what it is. But you know what I'm saying? That's all I really got to give, for the live. I'm going to go ahead and answer a couple questions before I get up out of here. Z said, one of my favorite undisputed champions, he fell off quick. You talking about Josh Taylor? I think what happened with Josh Taylor, man, I think he just stood at the 140 limit too long, man. He should have moved up to 47 after he beat Jose Ramirez. But he wanted to stay, he wanted to get greedy, stay around at the weight. He was underperforming. And I think that shit threw his momentum off. I think it threw his confidence off. And then, you know what I mean? That shit really got him bent out of shape. Because you don't just fall off when your body just isn't cooperating anymore. As soon as this shit isn't where it once was, the whole ship gonna sink, man. He got injured a lot. I mean, it could be wear and tear, Z. I mean, it could be multiple factors, man. Only Josh Taylor knows. But me personally, I think what really hindered his growth or his progression in the sport of boxing was him staying at a weight class he didn't belong in anymore. Mind you, Josh Taylor a big motherfucker, bro. He was damn near a 6 foot 140. Like 5'11", tall, but he was a big guy, man. He would have filled in the 147 great. But he chose not to. So you gotta live with the consequences of that. You gotta listen to your body. You gotta move up. Sneaks R says Boots versus Fundora or Boots versus Ortiz. If we're talking about a fight that's going to happen next, it looks like it's going to be Jaron Ennis versus Josh Kelly. And I'm glad you brought that up because Josh Kelly also fought today. We ain't even get into the Anthony Joshua fight with Christian Pranga. Then I tell y'all niggas that if AJ wasn't careful, that Pranga might crack you with some shit. I knew Pranga wasn't like this fucking killer or like, you know what I'm saying? But one thing about AJ, his punch resistance ain't all the way there. You know what I mean? And I was questioning Anthony Joshua's comeback after that traumatic situation that he went through and stuff like that. One thing about AJ, bro, I ain't gonna lie, like I'm really starting to fuck with AJ. I thought I would never say that because I held this grudge against AJ because of that whole Deontay Wilder situation. But I'm not somebody who really known for holding grudges. So I was like, man, let me go ahead and just let this shit go. You feel me? Like, I mean, even Eddie Hearn, I'm starting to see him in a more positive light. Even though you shouldn't trust any promoter, you always trust a snake to be a snake. But one thing about AJ, outside of Deontay Wilder, AJ, he took on a lot of smoke, man. I seen that man at the highest of the highs, the lowest of the lows. I seen this man knock people out cold, one punch. I seen him get put out with one punch. You know what I'm saying? And what I saw him do today, because this is only a 2-round fight, yo, but I seen AJ get hit with a short uppercut on the inside that he didn't see against Christian Pranga. Looked like Christian Pranga had him like tied up. And when AJ wasn't expecting to get hit, he got hit with a little short uppercut. Mind you, it didn't look like the most devastating shot. But you got to understand, these are heavyweights. And that boy Christian Pranga, I think outside of like, he had like a 100% knockout rate, like win ratio. All of his wins was by knockout. So that's a strong motherfucker, bro. So you can have a chin, but if you getting hit flush by a big punch and heavyweight, you gonna feel that shit or even get put out. You know what I mean? So, anyways, I've seen AJ get up off that canvas, look unfazed, in my opinion. And they counted another knockdown. I thought that second knockdown was bullshit. I ain't gonna lie to you. I didn't really see a flush punch. I just seen a little bit of physicality and AJ falling over. But nonetheless, they gave him the knockdown. And then I seen AJ with his, because let's keep it real. AJ a vet at this point, bro. As experienced as they come. You know what I mean? They've been there, did that. And I think over time, Anthony Joshua, through his experience and his trials and tribulations, he's been able to find a way to get through those type of moments just because he's experienced them so many times. I mean, I've seen him get hurt against Dillian White. I've seen him get hurt against Vladimir Klitschko. I've seen him get hurt against Daniel Dubois. I've seen him get hurt against Usyk. Like, I've seen this dude go through this so many times. It's basically clockwork at this point. And this is why, whether negative or positive, experience is crucial to have at a high level. You know what I'm saying? And maybe if Christian Pranga fought at a high level or has some experience at a high level, he probably wouldn't have gotten sparked in the second round. You know what I'm saying? So I think experience definitely played a part against Anthony Joshua and Pranga tonight. Salute to Anthony Joshua. I've seen Tyson Fury won a fight out in Thailand yesterday as well. Looked like, I don't know if that was yesterday or today. I couldn't even tell you. But looked like straight up horse shit. You know what I mean? I don't know what the fuck that was that I seen in the highlights. I didn't even take the time to watch it, to be honest with you. Maurice Wack looked all fat and sloppy, like he didn't even train for the fight. Tyson Fury looked like Tyson Fury. So basically, that's the equivalent of what I just said about Maurice Wack, or whatever, however the fuck you say his name. And I seen Wack landing clean shots on Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury landing clean shots on him. And, I guess Wack was so exhausted from being out of shape, he just quit in his stool. So, one came out, Fury looks like an absolutely shot fighter. Looks like he has nothing left, in the tank in terms of operating at an elite level. Anthony Joshua, he had a little bit of he had some turbulence in this fight for sure, but actually seeing him, AJ amongst the other two guys that are supposed to be like his rivals, Wilder and Fury, it seems like Anthony Joshua had more left in the tank than those guys, which is crazy because I could make a case that AJ fought better guys than both of them. He just somehow, some way has more in the tank with those guys. Now, AJ's punch resistance is definitely starting to, drop significantly. But AJ, in terms of like ability, he still looks strong. He's still putting them combinations together. He's still a dangerous guy. And I think that he's in a better position than, Fury and Wilder. Probably because Wilder and Fury took a lot out of each other. But it seems like Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury is going down. Based off of what I've seen, it just seems like Anthony Joshua has more in the tank. Unless Fury just turns the clock back somehow and gets light on the feet and just boxing and doesn't let AJ get close and just peppering him with jabs, turning him, tying him up, give him a boxing lesson. That'd probably be the only way. But I didn't see Tyson Fury have his legs underneath him. I didn't see him having them good reflexes like he used to. I didn't see him with the fast hands and, crafty tactics that he gets into, the feints and all of that shit. Like, I didn't see that with Tyson Fury. Maybe he didn't really train for this fight. But he gonna have to for AJ, because if he's a sitting duck like he was with Wack and he get hit with some clean shit from AJ, he might fuck around and go to sleep. Yeah, I started to rock with AJ. See, AJ was on my shit list for so long. You know, I think a lot of it was well deserved. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gotta get into all of that. But AJ started getting on my good side when he knocked out Francis Ngannou because we needed that, bro. The MMA community was talking so crazy because Fury, just like Usyk, wasn't taking these motherfucking mixed martial artists serious until the motherfuckers get on their ass. Then they gotta figure some shit out. So, Ngannou beat up on Fury. Oh, this is boxing, blah blah. All right. AJ went in there and even played with Ngannou, packed him up, got him up out the way. Love that. That was a great represent. That performance from AJ was a great representation of our sport. Because if Ngannou would have beat AJ that night, we would have seen so many MMA fighters jumping out the woodworks. Well, I think I got what it take to come to boxing. Oh, we beating boxers anyway at their own game. We would have seen like a whole wave of MMA fighters trying to try this boxing shit because Ngannou would have gave these niggas hope. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciated AJ for that. Damn, AJ came to the rescue with this Jake Paul shit, man. Oh my God, bro. That was exactly what we needed. Now this nigga Jake Paul talking about playing in the NFL. I'm like, yo, thank fucking God. I was waiting for that moment for so long. I thought Jake Paul was going to get everything he could out the game and then exit, without really getting taught a lesson. Man, I'm so glad Netflix put that pressure on him to fight somebody notable. Because what Jake Paul was doing, this is what a lot of people don't take into consideration. What Jake Paul was doing was he just wanted to rinse and repeat with fighting these old retired MMA guys while giving you the impression that he wants to fight, elite level guys. So I'm going to call out these elite level guys, but in reality, I'm going to keep fighting these Jorge Masvidals. I'm going to keep fighting these Anderson Silvas. I'm going to keep fighting these Ben Askrens and all of that shit, right? Salute to those guys, by the way. I'm going to keep fighting these Tyron Woodleys. You know what I'm saying? But Netflix was like, yo, man, if you want this motherfucking bankroll, we ain't going to give you this bankroll to be beating up on no old Mike Tysons. And, you know what I'm saying? We don't got no problem giving you this money, but it has to be for the opponents that we want to see you fight. I think the lineup was like Gervonta Davis, Terrence Crawford, and Anthony Joshua. From what I remember, Terrence Crawford said yes, but it would have to be at a later date. They already had a locked-in date. They had to fulfill that date. Gervonta Davis, that shit was locked in, but we all know what happened. Tank can't get out of his own way. So then they asked Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua, conveniently, was already training for a comeback fight. Let's lock it in. People was worried about AJ fighting on short notice. Whole time he was already in the gym. And to be real, I don't think we need a full camp Anthony Joshua to get rid of no Jake Paul. So he went in there and did his thing. Smoked that bull jaw. Pause. Like really fucked his jaw up to the point where Jake Paul said that he did a surgery, but it didn't hit, the bone didn't heal properly, so they had to do surgery again, or they had to do surgery again or some shit. I don't know if he ever did the second surgery, but that was how severe the jaw breaking was. And Jake Paul said he may not ever possibly come back to the sport of boxing because of that injury. Holla fucking Luya. Let me not curse saying that. Hallelujah. Jake Paul still eating pudding? Yeah. Hell yeah. That nigga still on that liquid diet. So ever since then, AJ been on my good side, man. I appreciate that dude. He done came to the rescue a few times. When it was time to really stand for the sport of boxing and like stand on that motherfucking integrity, he did it. He did it, man. Ralph said we need AJ versus Verhoeven or whatever the fuck his name is, the one that was giving Usyk all that trouble since Usyk looked ass against him. I think Usyk gonna end up rematching him and then retiring. That's what I think gonna happen. I think Usyk gonna ice him like bad this time because now Usyk like, you know what? I ain't even about to be playing with this nigga. I thought I was of a certain level where he couldn't fuck with me any shape, form, or fashion. I think he underestimated him. I think Usyk operating at a high level, taking somebody serious, putting respect on a nigga name in camp. I think he'll beat the shit out of Rico. I think that's what it came down to. I don't think he really respected his hand. Man. Real fans never looked at Jake as a real fighter. That's a fact, Bella. We all knew that he was scamming the game. And that was what was pissing me off. I'm like, bro, this dude's like a fucking culture vulture, bro. Like, he's really taking advantage. And I've been saying this for years already. He's taking advantage of the dysfunctionality of boxing. He's seen how easy it was to be involved. He's seen that all you needed was some money in order to be relevant, and all you needed to do was sell tickets. You just needed to, social media. If you got social media in place and you know how to, get, be viral and get people's attention and buy tickets, bro, you could really go as far as you want in the sport of boxing. Jake Paul seen that. So he said, oh, yeah, I'm about to milk the game. Because, Jake all about his money. He a businessman. So he giving you the impression that he a boxer. He's renovating gyms in Puerto Rico and he's training with all these different fighters. He's sparring all these different fighters. He got real fighters coaching him like Jay Leon Love and stuff like that. He's involving himself with all of these guys. He want, signing Amanda Serrano. You know what I'm saying? All this shit. He was giving you the impression that he was really for the sport the whole time. He was just milking it. You feel me? And trying to get as much as he wants out of it, get as much as he can out of it. So, he was hustling. I didn't really like that he was hustling the sport. I feel like the only motherfuckers that deserve to hustle the sport is the ones that get that really devoted themselves to the sport, like Floyd. You know what I mean? Motherfuckers like that. Motherfuckers who really dedicated to the game. I don't even mind Ryan Garcia doing it, even though I don't like him, even though I don't believe he deserves any type of good luck in the sport of boxing. I don't even mind Ryan Garcia doing it because he came up and earned it the hard way. You know what I mean? And the amateurs and all of that. Like, he really lived that life. So, Jake Paul, culture vulture, we all know that. He was taking advantage of our broken system. Maybe it ain't broken. Maybe it was just built that way. I don't know. But for the moment, we call it broken system. And, justice was served, man. Yes, sir. Why Aiden laughing? What happened, Aiden? What's so funny? Somebody asked a question about AJ being a champion again or some shit. Can AJ get back the world championship form or just enough to beat his rivals? I think it's just enough to beat his rivals, man. I don't think he ever becomes world champion again. Because for us to think about that objectively, we got to match him up with guys who's currently world champion. EJ Caballero. Does AJ beat EJ Caballero right now? Maybe a puncher's chance, but outside of that, no. I don't even want to see AJ get hit to the body like that, man. You all muscle and shit like that, but we know you ain't standing up to that. We really don't. Daniel Dubois. Do we have to speak about that? Do we have to speak about that? I don't think so. I don't know who got the other two titles, but regardless, I do think that this new generation of heavyweights, I think they're gonna have too much for AJ, man. AJ, he got something left in the tank, but I don't think it's enough to keep up with these younger dudes that's on the come up right now. You know what I mean? There's a new crop of heavyweights coming on the scene. I was watching that boy had me cracking up, man. I like that dude. Terramona. AJ versus Andy Ruiz could be interesting. True. But I highly doubt AJ takes that fight. I don't think AJ takes that. AJ wants to lock it. See, this the thing. AJ needs to lock in this Fury fight. Fury needs to lock in this AJ fight. There's nobody else to see but each other, but y'all two. There's nobody else to see. You know what I mean? Speaking of motherfuckers they need to see and shit, like fights like that. I seen Oscar De La Hoya, bro. He put out a video a little bit before Tszyu and Errol Spence fought. And he was like, let's not get it wrong, guys. Yeah. We want Virgil. We want Virgil to fight Boots next. Hopefully we could make that fight. But then started talking about how, do you know how big, Cowboy Stadium between Virgil and Errol? That's a huge fight. Like, bro, y'all niggas, bro. Y'all niggas cannot let go of this shit. And I'm not going to say that I'm glad Errol Spence lost, but I'm glad that y'all ain't got Errol Spence to run to and he'll go ahead and retire. So that shit just be completely outside your reach. Oscar wants him against Virgil. Why? Why? Why do you want Virgil versus Tszyu? Why? Why don't you get Virgil a fucking world title? How about that? Get the nigga a world title. Set him up for a world title shot. What the fuck is you talking about fighting Tszyu for? Do you not want Virgil to have a belt? I don't understand, bro. It's like Oscar's purposely making Virgil avoid world title fights. Like, this nigga's scared that Virgil's allergic to the WBC or some shit. Bro, why are you talking about Virgil versus Tszyu? Tszyu's at 160 now. Are you moving Virgil up to 160? This the thing. Eddie Hearn said it. He like, yo, yesterday's price ain't today's price. You know what I mean? Shoot us a fucking offer. And if they really wanted Virgil to be in position to fight for Boots, then they should give Boots an offer they cannot refuse. Oscar got some money. He ain't fooling nobody. Just enough to beat his rivals. Yeah, I think he got just enough to beat his rivals, man. I think AJ could beat, this current version of Wilder. I think AJ could beat this current version of Fury. Unless Fury, turns the clock back somehow. I don't believe so. I think AJ is catching up to him just like the other two guys. And that's the case, man. We need to see it. We need to see AJ versus Fury next. And for all I care, y'all could both retire after that. Y'all gonna make a shit ton of money. That's gonna be one of the biggest fights to come out of the UK. Hopefully, y'all make the fight in the UK. But y'all need to go ahead, make that fight, get that motherfucking money, and get the fuck out the way. You said you like to see a rematch in Texas between who? A rematch in Texas between who? My boy Trick said Mazuma. Didn't Eddie Hearn say Ortiz is on the back burner and last resort? This could easily be next, but Boots and Eddie are super keen on fighting for titles only. I don't see anything wrong with that. Shouldn't that be? This is my question, Tricks. Shouldn't that be the main priority to witness as a boxer fan? Don't you want to see one champion in each division? Don't you want to see Boots fight Josh Kelly for unification? Don't you want to see Boots fight Fundora for unification? He is on the back burner. And it's not like Boots avoided Virgil. They try to lock that fight in. He had lawsuit issues with his promoter. What the fuck is he supposed to do about that? So Boots stumbles across a hell of an opportunity presented by Xander Zayas and his team. He takes the fight. He's now the unified champion of the world. Circumstances change. Because when Boots wasn't champion, all right, it made sense to not fight another champion. It made sense to fight somebody who was a non-champion as well. But now that you got 2 belts and you're only 2 belts away from becoming undisputed, yeah, I should want to be prioritized becoming undisputed because guess what? If I get all 4 of those titles, now you really can't play with me in negotiations. Now you can't act like you the big dog. You can't act like you know what I mean? You worth more money than me. You can't ever treat me like no B-side. Them belts bring you power, man. So if I'm Boots, yeah, I'm putting my like we gonna get to that fight, but I'm gonna go ahead and grab these other titles. So when I get back to you, you ain't got shit for me. You can't talk to me crazy, bro. You gonna have to bend to my demands. Straight like that. AJ versus Miller. Man, I just want to see AJ versus Fury, bro. I ain't gonna lie. That's the only fight I want to see. Anything else that come after that, it's a bonus. But yeah, AJ versus Miller, that would be a good fight right now. If Miller in shape and really locked in, that's a good one. Spence was A-side and he didn't fight for 3 years. Yeah, Spence is a much bigger star than Tszyu. But I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here, man. I appreciate everybody that came through and show love as always. If y'all can go ahead and hit the like button on the way out, that'd be very much appreciated. We're on the road to 4K. We wanted to the 3,600 mark, looking to crack that 3,700 mark in due time. Shout out to the nation and the mob for making this possible. I'll be back at y'all with another live 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow night to continue cooking up on what's going on in the boxing world. Until then, I hope you guys have a blessed, beautiful one. I'm up out of here, man. Peace.